Hello and welcome to another Macbeth quote spotlight video. Today's video we will be focusing on yet another key quote from the subversive character of Lady Macbeth. In Act 2, Scene 2, Lady Macbeth awaits her husband. Their duplicitous plan has been set in motion and Macbeth commits the act of regicide off stage. When Macbeth returns, he is guilt-stricken. He knows that he has been condemned by God for his immoral actions, but Lady Macbeth reacts in complete contrast to him. She feels no remorse for their sacrilegious plotting and is forced to take charge of the situation by planting the murder weapon back with the unconscious guards. In today's video, we will be looking at the quotation, "A little water clears us of this deed." For our first layer of analysis, we want to zoom in into the adjective little. The use of this adjective here shows us that Lady Macbeth sees regicide as something that can be easily forgotten or removed with the simple act of washing your hands. Throughout the play, the image of blood on hands is repeated. As a reoccurring image, we can call this a motif. And throughout, this motif is used to be symbolic of a guilty conscience. It signifies the sins that they have committed. As water has connotations of absolution and purification, we can argue that Lady Macbeth believes that their crime against their king, and then also God, is insignificant to her. She believes it's unsurmountable if only a small, little bit of water is required to cleanse them of these awful deeds. Lady Macbeth is completely dismissive of their moral wrongdoings and the momentous sin that they have committed. Moving on to our second layer of analysis, we want to next focus on clear us. Here Lady Macbeth suggests that both herself and Macbeth are capable of salvation and absolution. She clearly is ignorant to the way she has disrupted the natural order and broken the divine right of kings and great chain of being. We can further zoom in onto the word us. This is a unifying term which perhaps paints them as partners in crime. Here, she seems to be reassuring Macbeth of their ability to escape any divine punishment of their crime. We could even argue here that perhaps Lady Macbeth is wearing a facade of strength. Remember, a facade means to wear a mask that almost covers your inner feelings and motives. Perhaps Lady Macbeth is aware of Macbeth's own mental instabilities at this point, as he has already said how he cannot connect to God after what he has done, and that he will never be allowed to sleep and rest again. Now we will look at our third layer of analysis, and we are going to look at the euphemistic language of the word deed. Euphemistic language is where you use an inoffensive word to substitute another word that might be considered offensive or hurtful. Here, instead of saying the word murder, she says deed. We could argue that the facade of strength she has put on is maybe covering her own insecurities, as she cannot actually verbalise the act of murder that she has committed. Maybe she has not processed the great crime that they have committed at this point. However, we could look at this with an alternative interpretation. The fact she calls it deed perhaps might be her trivialising the act of murder entirely. She may be, yet again, undermining the severity of the act they have committed. This quotation is a great linking quotation to a quote Macbeth says, "Will all great Neptunes wash this blood clean from my hands?" Both of these quotations present Macbeth and Lady Macbeth as the antithesis of each other, specifically looking at their reactions to the act of regicide. There is a juxtaposition between the bodies of water that are being described, an ocean versus the little water that Lady Macbeth feels. And again, this emphasises the extent of guilt they both feel at this time. As for vision now, what I would like you to do is explore this question. How does Shakespeare present Lady Macbeth as a guilty character? With this question in mind, you should now write an analytical paragraph using the quote that we have looked at today and the revision notes that you have made. You can also pause the screen here to have a copy of the writing frame appear in front of you. Well done for revising today, and thank you for watching.